Hi, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to build a beer or brew a beer, and we're going to use the Grainfather. The beer we're going to brew today, I'm planning on doing a New England tangerine, mango and coconut with dry hopping procedures as well. So it's going to take a little time, so stay tuned and we'll see how it goes. I'll show you the ingredients. So here we are with some of the ingredients. We got some different hops actually all the way around. We got some Mosaic, we got some Citrus, Galaxy, and also some Magnums over here, real mango, some roasted or toasted coconut chips over there, the yeast is over here, and some blends over there, and a pH kind of stabilizer to put in the meshing process as well, and then a whirl flock to make sure it's going to be all clear afterwards. So this is where we start, and now it's just a matter of getting everything weighed up and corrected and adjusted to the right amounts. So that's going to take the next 15 minutes. Good quality water is going to give you a good beer to start with. So we'll start with that first, and then we'll start the mashing process in about another few minutes. That's the water we're going to need for the beer, and this is the first part where the mashing process is going to be starting out. There's going to be some sparge water later, and in total I'm going to use about 32 liters approximately. This is 5 gallons so far, and it should give you about 23 liters of clear nice beer after. Yeah, putting in the grains for the process, and once this is all mashed in, it's going to take about 65 minutes, 65 degrees 60 minutes first, and then we're going to mash it out by 15 minutes and a little bit high temperature, about 70-75, before the boiling process. Process is going to start. I'm going to add some roasted coconut as well. I will have one bag for that, one bag for the boil process, and also one bag for the dry hopping process afterwards. And hopefully that's going to go ahead and give it a nice kind of foundation, base foundation, to make both the bouquet go okay, and also the freshness of the beer afterwards when it's really cold. So let's see how it goes. While getting ready with all the other stuff in the mashing process, we might as well get organized with whatever comes in at whatever time intervals, and that's what we're going to do next. The yeast is already activated, and it will be like almost the size like this whenever it's done yeasting on this part, and it will take about 3 hours before that is actually ready to be put in. And that's probably the approximate process I'm going to use anyway before I'm done with the beer and when it's getting ready for the fermenter and so forth. All the hops are now ready to go, and that's for the boiling process. The mashing process under the correct pH during the whole process. I'll need to add a tablespoon of pH stabilizer, and that's gonna come in now. This is how it looks like, and I'm just gonna kind of put it in all over the place, and then I'll mash it in with all the rest as it goes along. There we go. And then always make sure to go ahead and blend it in with the whole grains and everything else and the coconut, and then after a little while it's gonna be all messed up in here as well, and all merged together with all the rest, and that's going to be the beer later on. The mashing process is now going to be started. Temperature is up 65 degrees, going to be 1 hour, and we'll put the pump on, and then we will see how it looks like. All assembled, and now we are ready to start the pump. When the pump goes on, it starts flowing the beer all the way around, or the mash around, and that's gonna be a nice colored beer. In a second we'll probably see the color in about another couple of minutes. So a little bit more oxygenated water that I get out of this, and therefore I've taken off the hose, and now it's actually, as you can see it, so it's actually coming out in a nice beam all the way around, and it's actually oxygenating the beer. That's good for the later process when we go into the yeasting process. Star sands used a lot. I have put over into a small spray can here as well to help me when I put in the hops, because whenever you put the hops in the boiling process, then it might actually overflow slightly. It'll give a lot of bubbles, but spraying it a little bit on top is going to keep those bubbles down until you get it under control again, and it won't boil all over the place. So star sand mixture of water is going to be your help when you do the beer brewing. As this goes and progresses, you can see that there's a lot more oxygen down the water by now, and that's going to give you a lot more oxygen for later on, and it will actually help you in the last process of the yeast. We're now 40 minutes into the mashing process, and the temperature is 65 degrees centigrade, and is holding it pretty well within a degree basically of precision. However, this is the color of the beer that I'll expect whenever it's done. So it could be a little bit more dark than that, depending on how much more the text comes out. But this is, generally speaking, the color you can expect afterwards. So it looks like a tea basically, and it doesn't taste good at all at the moment. Here we are. The mashing process is now complete. We're now going to increase the temperature to 75 degrees for 10 minutes, and then we're going to mash out. So we're going to increase the temperature to 75. There we go. We're going to put back the timer, there we go, to about, I'm going to put 12 minutes here because it needs to be increased as well. And then I'll just make sure that we get actually 10 minutes completely when it gets to 75 degrees centigrade. Process starts. I normally like to have my hops all lined up in the right order, and I normally put like a number for minutes in here as well. This goes in at the boiling start process. 60 minutes is going to boil, so this boils for 60 minutes and gives me a little bit of the bitterness of the beer. This goes in 10 minutes prior to the end of the session. This is 5 minutes prior to the end, before the end, and this is 1 minute just before it runs out of the boiling process. So basically this goes in 5 minutes prior to the boiling process is over, and then it's ready to be cooled down to room temperature, and then from there straight over into the fermenter, and then it's going to be fermenting for about 10 days. So the mash out process is just about being ready and completed. We're having 75 degrees and we had that for almost for 10 minutes, and there's only like 7 seconds left, and then the timer's going to go off, and then we're going to go and go to the boiling process. So this is how the wort looks like when it's really oxygenated and everything else. And now I'm going to go ahead and lift out the wort and see if I can go ahead and get everything more or less sorted out, and then it's going to come up, and I'll go ahead and let the wort come out. And it's kind of a sifter, so it's going to take all the wort nice and easy apart, and then after that it's going to be fine. The wort is now brought up, and you can hear it down here. It's running and actually sifting straight through the whole mashing compound that's in there as well. So now we're going to go ahead and increase that to boiling temperature, and then we're going to go and get prepared for the boiling. Starts with some hot water, same temperature, 75 degrees, and it's going to go ahead and use about 14 liters before it's completely done. As it goes through, I start like a snail kind of pattern, so it keeps rolling, so I get all the good stuff basically down in the wort nice and easy. So the sparging process is almost done. This is the last part of the water, and then we continue the boiling process. The water is now to 81 degrees, so it's still missing 19 before it's going to be ready. So I hope we're going to be on our way here in about another few minutes. For the boiling process, as you can see, we got a sifter in there as well. Got a little bit of toasted coconut chips and also some mangoes that's going to be in there together with the hops, and then it's going to be boiling for an hour. This is almost there, and it's starting up in a second. We're all set for it, running nice and easy. Coconuts are out there, the toasted flakes are out here, and then we got a little bit of mango in there as well. And it smells extremely fresh, really nice. Can you all smell it? It's really nice. So let's see what it goes and what it ends up with. The process is now ready for the boiling process, and it actually looks very, very promising. It smells really nice. Can you all smell it? Because I can, and it's really, really neat. So from here on, we're going to go ahead and add the hops. It's going to take 60 minutes, and then we're ready to go ahead and transfer it over into the fermenter. So here's the hops that goes in straight into the sifter right there, and that is the first part. It's a little bit of a mix, but basically it's Magnum hops. The wort flock is actually being added about 15 minutes prior to the last part of the boil, and that's about now. And then this is going to be the 10 minute, and that's going to be 1 minute, and then we're going to go ahead and cool it down, and after that we're going to transfer it over into the fermenter, and then the process is basically done, and it just needs to yeast now for the next 10 to 12 days. It'll be dry hopped as well with mosaic and also citra hops, and also a little bit of toasted coconut with a little bit of mango as well, of course. And more hops are added. There we go. Get the last part out there as well, and that's the second last hops that's going to get into the beer. So now the beer is being aerated and transferred from there through the heat exchanger over here. It's going to be a cooling exchanger if you will. And then from there straight over into the fermenter, and then it's going to fill that up nice and dandy down here. As you can see, this is the color of the beer as it is initially, and it's going to take about another few minutes. Then we put in some yeast, and then we'll put it aside in a cool dark place and let it ferment for 3 days. Then we'll dry hop it for another 5, and then it's just going to be staying there and get ready for the next 10 to 12 days. As you can see, here you go, it's 10:50 basically where it starts out for the fermenting, so there's a good chance that it'll be a nice beer, or at least there's a potential in it. A little bit of progress of how much actually is transferred right now, but we're almost done, and that's the end of it more or less. The process is now complete. We have transferred all the wort over into the fermenter, which is standing right here next to me. Right now we're just waiting for it to start the process of fermenting. That's gonna be probably with overnight or something, or maybe tomorrow. That's what I'm expecting at least. The only thing we need to put in is actually the thermometer, and then we should be fine to go ahead and put it into the darkness, leave it here and wait for another 10 to 12 days, and then it should be fine. The process from here will be in 3 days from now. I'll put into a dry hopping process, meaning that it will be probably 5 days in total, with a combination of toasted coconut flakes. There will also be mango in there, and of course some hops, citra and mosaic. Once that's complete, then it's more or less ready after 12 days to be transferred into the kegs, and then it's going to stay there and hopefully being cold crashed, meaning that it's going to be cooled down, or kind of cooled down to about temperature of the refrigerator, and then after that it should be drinkable. So hopefully it's going to be a good result. I'll follow up with video whenever we get that far. So far, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Cheers. We are a few days later. The fermentation is now in full progress. Everything's bubbling nice and dandy, and the beer is progressing exactly as more or less projected. So we're just about maybe another 10 days away from a proper beer.